Hey guys, so today I am going to be talking to you about how I made my armor for Urbosa. This is mostly on the construction, not like the painting or anything. So for the chest plate, I wanted to use Warbler for like the boob area because I thought it would be the easiest material to use. So I double layered it, and then to get the shape I wanted, I protected most of my dress form with plastic wrap, and then put the Warbler directly over it and used the heat gun to kind of give it the divots. Once it was the general shape I wanted, I cut it out. I made the boob areas a bit more defined because the dress form is more like flat. And then I used painter's tape, you can also use masking tape, to kind of pattern out the ridge design that she has. And then once you have it, you can just transfer it onto paper. Painter's tape is not the best for this. Masking tape is much better, just know that. Also, I apparently sound sick and congested when I use this microphone, so I'm sorry. I'm not sick, I promise. But then I took that pattern and traced it onto 4mm foam. I love EVA foam. I use it for everything that I can. And then I use contact cement and glue it directly onto the Warbler. I don't use a brush when I use contact cement. I use like little scraps of foam and like brush it on. It's probably not normal. Alright, and so now I'm going to be working on like the biceps. So I essentially measured my bicep and cut out those two strips, one for each arm, and then I'm cutting out that weird whatever shape, and you need 4 of them, and you're going to connect them down the middle. So the inner seams where they connect, I'm cutting those at 45-degree angles. That way you get that nice kind of harsh angle when they're glued together. And use my handy dandy best friend contact cement. 5 points if you can guess what I'm watching, considering how little of it is actually shown. There, the little straps are becoming circles for your bicep. It's also very important that you know when you use foam, you should seal it with heat at some point before you paint it. Did anyone see that picture of Urbosa? She was like twitching. But then I used the shoulder armor pattern that I made to make the little outline thingy, raised design, whatever that is. And I also made 4 of them because sometimes it's easier to have 2 halves than 1 whole. Oh, Hulu commercials. I would love a car. Not really. Cars are okay. I have a car. Actually, it's a van. No one will ever steal it because it's old and rusty on the bottom. So, then I glue the ridges onto the original armor, bam, and then the bands, and bam. And then for the rivets, I use googly eyes. Heads up, I use googly eyes for everything, guys. Alright, this part of the pattern that I cut out is going to be for like the back of the chest, and then like the necklace, like the halter top. Like this is all part of the breastplate right here. And then, for whatever reason, it's got special designs. So I used craft foam instead of EVA foam because it's thinner and cheaper and made more sense. And cut out the areas that are gonna go on decoratively. Same with the necklace. It's a lot of squares. I wanna say they're about an inch apart or so. The little stencil I'm kind of using isn't perfect because it can't accommodate for the curves. So that's all kind of on you. Ooh, some lady just screamed at someone to shut up out there. I live in an interesting place. Yeah, then you cut out all the inner squares, because that's what we do when we have things we don't want. We cut them out forever. And then you're gonna glue them right on top, like a sandwich. it's important that you cover your foam very well with the contact cement. It's like rubber cement, but more industrial. Also be careful when you lay it down, because once you like actually like kind of push it down, if you try to pull craft foam back up, chances are it's going to rip. It looks like train tracks. Good time to be alive. And now here's for the side straps that actually connect in the back. Not really connect, just, I guess it looks like it connects. They connect with a snap. Alright, this is after I've glued the neckline and the sideline, side straps, whatever, to the breastplate, and I'm covering it with googly eyes because that's how I roll. I used hot glue. Usually I don't. Hot glue tends to leave a lot of strands that are kind of annoying to deal with in the future. Alright, and now I am patterning out the belts. One of the belts. Technically I kind of use this for both of them, but it's a lot of squares, but they're at an angle, which is how you get the nice hip shape. So that's why I patterned it. This part is for the hip ornament, which I have saved for our patrons because I remembered. And you too can make an ornament for a fictitious character. No one will look at you strange on the street. Yeah, but there's one large one, 2 medium ones, and then 2 smaller ones. This is the decorative raised design bits. I think I already cut out the bases that these get glued to. Why did I not film that? I don't know. Yeah, and so all these little decorative bits, in order to make the belt flexible, I'm not gluing them directly to each other. I am gluing them to little strips of craft foam on the underside, and that's why they got glue all over them. But here's the actual belt ornaments, also getting covered in glue. Everything gets covered in glue. When in doubt, just put it everywhere. And worst case, it doesn't get covered up. It won't hurt it. Yeah, another fun fact, the middle one goes in one direction and it shares it with 2 others, and then the other 2 go in an opposite direction. That's important when you're doing it. But here's what I was talking about. This is what helps it remain flexible. And they're connected by those little strips of craft foam. It's kind of fun to wear. I don't like there being gaps, so if there's ever like a gap because I'm conserving foam and there just wasn't enough, I'll just use more. Alright, so I drew on with silver Sharpie the engravings that need to be on the belt, and I used my soldering iron with like a pointy bit to kind of burn them in. They're like this weird flower thing. And all those little dots at the corners are gonna have googly eyes because I have problems. Not enough googly eyes. Maybe I do have a problem actually. If you use a soldering iron on foam, it smells bad, you should wear a respirator or something. I am not good about health and safety. Don't be like me. I need more things, like a respirator. Alright, so now that I have the soldering iron, I'm just gonna burn things into all the other places that need to be burned into. What's this? Oh, okay, so this is for the second belt. Second belt has these weird circles and like outline things. And I just covered it in the glue before I cut it out. That way it'd be easier. And I wouldn't have to get glue everywhere trying to get all those teeny tiny little pieces. And I used my my knife for a little bit, but it ended up being more difficult than it should have been, so I switched over to scissors. I prefer to use X-Acto knives and stuff when I can, and you definitely kind of have to with the thicker foams. But thankfully, with craft foam, you don't really need to. But I kept the inner circles because those will be glued on last. And this is just half the belt. I pretty much do 90% of everything in halves. And this is just what goes on it decoratively. And now it's being attached to the actual belt. It may kind of get weirdly stretched and stuff, so you may have to kind of like adjust it. Oh, that's the end. Yeah, if you want to see more on how I made Urbosa, swing on over to the links below. I will be selling her work lug so that you can see how I do all the other parts. Or click for the wig when the wig comes out, whenever that is. Alright, bye guys!